Hey everyone, Groovy Guy Tom here with another reissue from our back catalogue. Today we're looking at our hot take on whether Brian Johnson or Bon Scott is the best AC/DC singer. It won't surprise you to hear I'm pretty passionate about this topic, and of course the answer is Bon Scott. Enjoy.
For Tom,
We got Bon Scott or Brian Johnson.
okay.
I'm not ready.
Man. Are you not ready?
I don't know if I should lead this off or anchor it. I feel like I should anchor it.
You have to anchor it.
I think you should anchor it.
Yeah.
Who feels strongly about this topic?
See,
I'll go first. I'll keep mine short and sweet.
Go for it.
Bon Scott for me. Their live album, kind of the one that you recommended to me, Tom. It really solidified that for me. It's my favorite live album by them. His come up in the band too, just kind of filling in when their original lead singer didn't want to, take the stage, and he hopped in and filled in, and he became the prominent lead singer right after it. I love that. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah. Nice. Chris? You've seen AC/DC live. You've seen Brian Johnson AC/DC. What do you think?
I have to go with Brian Johnson because that's the AC/DC I know. So when I was introduced to AC/DC, it was Brian Johnson. He was up on stage. I know the music videos. I know his voice. That's how I know the band. And then once I kind of knew them, I went back and listened to everything else, which I'm not going to lie, I didn't know for many, many years of my musical journey that they were different kind of singers or different people.
Yeah.
And that was just, I guess, my own ignorance in that sense. But I always assumed Brian Johnson did most of the singing and Bon Scott was there for maybe the first album until very, very recently when we had that discussion about how many albums came out before Back in Black, pretty much. Yeah. And I was mind blown, and I was I have the total wrong idea of this band, but I can't change my perception of that. And when I saw him live, the guy's a maniac.
Yeah.
He's a frontman through and through, and I would never. You can't take that away from him. He stepped up. He took control of a band that was and they exploded. So you can't take that away from him.
Really, really good point. And I totally understand your experience of AC/DC is Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
I just want to make one more point too. Some of my favorite AC/DC songs are with Bon Scott as well.
Dan, what's your
Brian
hot
Johnson
take?
does sing them so well. He sings them just as well.
I'm gonna lean with Chris on this one.
Yes.
Brian Johnson. Now, why am I picking Brian Johnson? I'm picking Brian Johnson because he did their biggest album, Back in Black.
Fair point.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to pick him because he did my favorite album by them, which is For Those About to Rock. We Salute You.
Great album.
And I think I'm going to pick him too because I think he had the best look.
Yeah.
The flat brim cap.
The cab driver cap.
The curly hair, the tank tops with the big beer gut. Man, the guy just oozes
frontman,
sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean,
yeah.
I think, like Chris said, he has really good frontman qualities on stage.
Yeah.
I understand that Bon Scott was kind of the guy and wrote some of their most iconic albums, even though Back in Black's their biggest. I know they had 3 or 4 really, really strong albums before that. But you have to give him credit for being able to jump in halfway at the peak of one of the biggest bands in Australia, to take that and then to bring it over and to get crazy mainstream success in the US. 50 million records sold. Give me a break. After your lead singer dies and you have some new guy coming in at the helm and basically replicating the sound and making it as seamless of a transition as you could possibly ask for.
Incredible.
For what happens to be one of the most unique singing voices out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
So I gotta give Brian Johnson credit on all of those. On all those, I think I'm gonna like him better. And really, what it comes down to, it's that he's on my favorite records by them. So why how could I pick Bon over Brian?
I'm in agreement, Lozier.
No, I like it.
Now here's the thing. It's 2-1. The Aussie definitely has 2 votes on this.
Perfect. Bring it home. So I want to pick up on something you said there about I don't think, like, you can say it out loud, but I don't think anyone can appreciate how incredibly difficult it would have been for the band to lost their friend and singer and frontman in Bon Scott after they just released Highway to Hell, their most successful album to date, and the album that broke them into the US market. Mm-hmm. To then put out a new album with a new singer, for it, as you said, for it to be as seamless as it was, and for them to go to that next level of success, it's pretty incredible that happened. And I get that. And yes, Back in Black is their most popular, most successful album. I get that, and I've only seen Brian Johnson AC/DC live. I didn't see Bon Scott live, obviously. So I'm picking up what you're putting down. I love Brian Johnson era AC/DC. I love Back in Black. I love For Those About to Rock. Thunderstruck is one of their most popular ever songs, not as successful an album. I actually really loved Black Ice.
Really?
I thought that was a return to form. But for me, it has to be Bon Scott. So I'm sorry, gents. I'm going to have to add my 2 votes to Bon and make it 3-1. You
3-2, but
sorry, 3-2.
split decision.
You guys get half a vote each.
Okay.
No. So
3.
yeah, look, for everything that's been said, he created the blueprint for how their songs should be sung and for how their lyrics should be written. He was sleazy. He was cheeky. There was a lot of wit in his lyrics. He created this real down and dirty hard rock edge to their lyrics and their vocals. And it was that and his persona plus Angus's lead and Malcolm's rhythm that defined AC/DC as a sound. And so I think he laid the foundation for Brian's success. And that's taking nothing away from Brian and the fact that he was able to come in and slip so seamlessly into what was a pretty big band at the time and then release Back in Black, and for fans to say, yeah, he's taken the mantle and he's picked up where Bon left off. So taking absolutely nothing away from Brian, and I love a lot of their records with Brian, but you've also, while Back in Black was their absolute biggest album, under Bon, we've talked about before, TNT, High Voltage, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, Let There Be Rock, Power Age, If You Want Blood, the live album, and Highway to Hell. And Highway to Hell or Power Age would be my favourite AC/DC albums. So for that reason, for me, it's Bon Scott. And Matt, I'm glad you brought up If You Want Blood, because man, oh man, what a live album.
It's one of my favorites. It's funny because I hadn't listened to it up until the point you made a point of saying, hey, you got to check this out. And it is fantastic. It's so good.
I'm really glad
it's
you
really
liked it.
sad Bon Scott went out the way he did.
Yeah.
I think you put it in a really nice way a few episodes back. He burned bright. You know what I mean? I think you said that about Jimmy Page.
Yeah. Jimi Hendrix.
And what? Oh, sorry, not Jimmy Page. Jimi Hendrix.
Jimmy Page is still with us.
Yeah, sorry, that's my bad. I apologize. And you made a good point, like for, Jesus, Brian Johnson to jump in the way he did. A lot of bands have a really tough time once the lead singer goes down. That's kind of it.
That could have been
There's not too many bands that come back from that.
Look at Zeppelin,
another
right?
one.
Bonham.
Yeah.
When Bonham
Oh, yeah.
died, they just went, "That's it, we're done."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
it.
has another band done that?
Queen.
Queen did it, yeah.
Did they?
Not.
In their own
No.
roundabout way, they did it.
Yeah, but we're talking like
Yeah, but they're touring. They're touring with a new singer. They're not
Oh.
really like coming out with big
Van
big
Halen.
albums. Yeah, Van Halen did it.
They switched.
That's
They
right.
switched singers.
yeah,
they switched.
that's true. Okay, but I
So
can't.
and they were another one. They were really successful with it.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden switched
Oh,
singers
yeah.
after their first album. Sabbath. This is, I mean, obviously no one died, but you know, Sabbath went
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Ronnie James Dio, and
Oh.
they released 2 fantastic albums with Ronnie.
That's
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing to do, and
No.
I think I think he does such a good job of playing the olds. Like when I saw him live, they didn't just play the new things; they were playing everything, right? And he does such a good job of filling in. And the more I look at this list, like, okay, pretty much I don't listen to any AC/DC after for those about to rock. I don't listen like those albums.
No, they
anything
sort of-
after that, I don't know a lot of.
Yeah.
Right. But I know the ones underneath. So yeah, your point's very compelling, and I understand why you pick it. But when I picture AC/DC, I don't picture Bon Scott anymore. Right. I picture, like Lozier painted the perfect picture, right? I picture him as like Brian Johnson as the
The
front man.
black tank top.
Yeah, right.
Big
And like
guy.
that side, I don't know. Like there's that famous picture of the side profile of him. That's what I picture, and the sweat pouring off of him.
But yeah, Tom, you made a really compelling point there, man.
You did,
And,
yeah. I liked it.
I think the key to the hot take is Bon Scott's writing and how many big hits came from their early albums. Because after Let There Be Rock, the rest of AC/DC's albums were not very strong.
No,
And it was likely due to the fact that they did not have Bon Scott writing those lyrics for them anymore.
Thunderstruck's a bit of an exception to that. That's on the razor's edge.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you're right. Like, and for those about to rock, is a really, really strong album.
Love
the
that.
Razor's Edge though has Thunderstruck, Are You Ready, and Money Talks. Like that's a pretty solid AC/DC lineup. And Thunderstruck is amazing because of the guitar riff, not because of the lyrics.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't get me wrong, the thunder and it working together, but it's that do 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 do.
It's the tapping.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
is, and it
that's the
goes so
tapping
well
riff.
together, right? So yeah, they do. He does have his moments of brilliance.
Whereas
which
if you-
also is tough because that came out in 1990, which this type of kind of glam pub hardcore rock was on the way out. Right?
Yeah, grunge
that's
was in.
that's a big hit in the 1990 when we see like grunge taking the scene. So yeah, that's you can't complain about that. It went 5 times platinum.
But if you talk about post Bond, you're talking Back in Black, enormous. For those
Yep.
about to rock, fantastic.
Yep.
Then Flick of the Switch, which has maybe 2 good tracks, including the title track.
See, I
Fly
don't know
on the
that one at
Wall,
all.
which fell totally flat. Who Made Who?
Fire.
Who Made Who is a soundtrack to a Stephen King movie, and it's like a few original tracks and then a bunch of old tracks. Blow Up Your Video, Razor's Edge, Ball Breaker, Stiff Upper Lip, Black Ice, Rock or Bust, Power Up. I would say you have 1 to 2 good albums of a collection of tracks from post For Those About to Rock.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
agree.
So that's
like
why
Stiff Upper Lip was not great.
Yeah. So I get why, there's an entire generation of people for who AC/DC is Brian Johnson, because that's who's been there, and, that's who I've seen live. but I just think they're a better band with Bon Scott.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Ozzy gets 2 votes.
Yep, there you go. That is
I
it.
win.
That's it. Man, I'm just going through the list
We
here.
all win.
We all win. Do you guys have a favorite album art, AC/DC album art? I'm just looking at them all right now.
Back in
And
Black
one-
is the best. It's just black.
Is it?
album.
It's, man, Highway to Hell.
Highway to Hell's really good.
I like Highway to Hell, to be honest.
Highway to Hell.
with
100%.
with the
with the
horns, and he's
double
given
horns.
that.
And the tail.
So iconic.
Oh.
So
If You Want
Yeah.
Blood is really good too, right? Like he's
Yeah, that's
getting
true.
stabbed in the guts with an Epiphone.
I haven't. Where is it? I can't find it on here. But yeah, man, they had some cheesy album art and some bangers. Like Let There Be Rock is not a great one.
No.
It's got Angus Young.
There's 2 covers. There's 2 covers
Is
for
there?
that.
Sorry, this one is Angus Young is holding his guitar up, and there's like clouds, and it looks like
Oh yeah.
it's like got the Jesus mosaic.
Yeah, yeah. And the
Yeah.
other one's not great either. The original one is just like a guitar and fingers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the original Highway to Hell is pretty sweet.
With them on fire.
When they're on fire and you're looking down a fretboard.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting. I think maybe their Australian releases and their US releases often differ. Like Dirty Deeds is another example of that, right? There's the Hypnosis cover, which is the sort of gathering of people with their eyes blacked out in front of the dodgy motel. That's the US release. And then the Australian release is the one I have, which is, Bon with the big tattoo on his forearm with Angus. They're in a pub. It's like a cartoon.
Yeah, that's I kind of
Yeah,
like
there's
it.
alternative art covers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's cool. I like that. Man,
What a fun
that's what I love
band.
about records. I like Power Outage too. Angus there with the
Power Age.
the cables. Power
Yeah.
Age, sorry. Power
Yeah.
Age.
That's
But,
probably my favourite album.
Yeah.
It's really
That's-
dark. I think Bon was having a tough time.
Sin City. Yeah. Kick in the Teeth. Yeah. Like, oh, what
Down
a band.
Payment Blues. There's just some,
Yeah.
really
Give Me a
strong
Bullet.
Angus licks in that album.
There. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. So Tom, summarize it. Who won? Who's victorious here?
Bon Scott,
I think Bon Scott, yeah.
Bon Scott it is.
Let There Be Rock. Do you know what I like too though? They've both got like a rock anthem. Brian, For Those About to Rock, we salute you. And then Bon's Let There Be Rock.
The Groovy Guys are Tom Kennedy, Dan Lozier, Chris Palumbo, and Matt Carvalho. With your host, Tom Kennedy. Music by Dan Lozier, post-production by Matt, and album art by Chris.